Good afternoon. This is Craig from TechCompatible, and I'm here to go over the use of a monorail adapter that we created to enable the customer to suspend the monorail using the aircraft cable. And what you see in front of you are essentially the parts to make this work. On the far left is just a small 3-inch piece of aircraft cable. In this case, I think it's 2.5 millimeter. It's stainless steel. The clamp, the nut, the male coaxial connector, and the modified free jack connector are the rest of the parts. And it's these 4 pieces that we're providing. The free jack connector is almost identical to a standard free jack connector, except in this case, it has an insulator in the bottom that keeps the one section of the rail electrically insulated from the aircraft cable. On the other side is the coaxial cable. Normally, the end pin goes up against the other conductor on the rail, and it will in this case too, but we're making sure that the aircraft cable doesn't go all the way down, so that it never gets to that section, so that the aircraft cable again stays electrically isolated from it. The way to make sure you do that is, when you assemble this, don't insert this cable any further than about there. I have installed some insulating material down in the center section, so it would be very unlikely that you would actually get down that far. But if you limit the depth that you place the cable before you clamp it, you're going to be just fine, and you're not going to have any problems short-circuiting the rail to the suspension. Anyway, to put it together is really quite simple. The parts are generally laid out in the order that it goes together. The first thing you do is you put the nut in here, and then you insert your cable. Well, first you got to do this. Take that back. You put your aircraft cable through this section here. And notice on here there's a Allen screw, and that's how you will clamp the cable into this piece here. The other thing to note here is that this actually has 2 sides that clamp together, and so when you finally get it assembled, you want to make sure that that Allen screw is touching either this side or that side. So you want to take note of the orientation of that when you assemble this. But anyway, essentially you'll place your cable inside. This is hard to do from behind an iPhone, so bear with me, but should slip right in like that. And you can see here, it actually goes in and stops, and it's because of the insulating material I have, and see how much is in there. And it's ahead of the pin. But I would suggest limiting it to maybe 3/4 of an inch, setting it in about 3/4 of an inch. Again, this is a lot easier if I'm not doing it with a phone in my face. Anyway, so here you are. So I've got it in roughly 3/4 of an inch. Then you take this nut up and you spin it on. Again, remember where that clamp was. I want to make sure that I'm either going to be tightening that Allen screw this way to pull that together, or the other side. If you try to clamp it in the middle, it's not going to work well. You want to be going from either side to get a proper clamping effect. So okay, that's probably not right, so I'm going to back it off a little bit, maybe a half a turn. So right about there is where I would clamp it. And if you're trying to figure out where to clamp it, just maybe use the Allen screw at the end here as a reference point. In this case, it looks like the clamping mechanism is straight on line with it, so if you just end up 90 degrees off that screw, you should be fine. And it looks like I am. So we supplied an Allen wrench, and so what you would do is you would tighten that down, and just make sure it's firm. And then when it's all done, pull on it, make sure it's going to hold the weight, and then when you're all done, you'd be putting this on your rail, and you'd put this in and clamp together, and then you could send your aircraft cable to whatever your mounting point is. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. If not, please send me a text. Be happy to answer any questions. But the real key about this is to make sure you keep the center pin and the outer, this lower section of the free jack connector electrically isolated from the rail. And these have worked fine in the testing that I've done with them. But that's about it. Any questions, please feel free to call or to send a text.